The only thing we have to fear is beer itself.
Beer. So many choices.
Only no function beer well without.
Woohoo! Beer!
Hello and welcome to another episode of Beer Busters, where we are going to bring you the news and reviews, of course, of some wonderful brews. My name is Dan Baker, joined as always by my co-host and brewologist,
Steph Hefner.
as I'm already slurring my speech and we haven't even begun, and of course the demented and fermented
Wayne Baker,
who is not currently slurring his speech.
No.
Well, today we have made a trek to New Freedom, Pennsylvania, and we are somewhere I have heard a lot of great things about, and I'm excited to... I dropped the excited word again. But I'm excited to drink the beer that we have, and I know there's a good story behind it. We'll get into that in a little bit. But we are, of course, at Gunpowder Falls Brewing. We have with us Mr., as he's sipping his beer,
Martin Verga.
Martin, thanks for having us out here. I have to learn to time these things a little better. But yeah, thanks for having us out here. This is, I already like it. You were kind enough to start us off with a big glass of the Pilsner that we're going to talk about a little later on. So far, I like it. So it's a good environment here. And you guys are firing up the grill. There's charcoal that's wafting its way in here, the charcoal chips, and smells awesome.
Smells delightful.
Yes. There's something fantastic about that smell. But before we go on and get any of the I guess, festivities started.
The
meat and potatoes.
Yeah.
We have to, of course, not forget that this episode is brought to us by Audible. You can go to audibletrial.com/beerbuster. Sign up for a free 30-day trial of an Audible account. You get to download and keep an audiobook and listen to that audiobook as you go about your daily life. And I promised I would not go on and on about Audible. Wayne and I had a conversation about this. But remember, audibletrial.com/beerbusters. Show your support for Beerbusters while you are also getting a book.
And also don't forget to go to patreon.com/beerbusters to become a patron, support us, get cool behind-the-scenes perks, donate a couple bucks to us each time we release an episode, or as little as $1 a month at patreon.com/beerbusters.
All right. And this is where Steph would normally talk about also the Potsdam Brew Fest that's coming up. But we're going to forego that because Wayne and I got a chance to talk to Tim, who is one of the organizers of the Potsdam Brew Fest, and got a little bit of information about what's going on there, what's going to happen for VIP hour and everything. And, in fact, here is that interview. So in lieu of the news this time around, because in real-world time it's going to be like 3 weeks from recording to publishing, we figured we've been talking about the Potsdam Brew Fest a lot, so Wayne and I are lucky enough to talk to Tim Hennessy, the organizer of them, do a little phone interview. Tim, how are you?
Doing great, guys. How are you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for being able to chat with us for a little bit. We really want to get the word out about this event. It's going to be a great time, it seems like.
You're welcome. Really excited to talk to you tonight. Thanks
Awesome.
for having me.
Yeah,
definitely.
No
Thanks
problem
for
at all.
being
So, big thing we got to start off with is that it's Saturday, October 22nd, and this is in Potsdam, of course, and it's Manatawny Park.
Yes, Manatawny Park. It's the largest park in Pottstown, right off of Route 100, near the intersection of 422 and 100 off King Street.
Oh, so it's right there. Right, okay, I've probably passed it 100 times then, at least. It's the 22nd, and we've been plugging it a little bit on the show, and we're very excited to be part of it. Now, I know you guys had an event last year. Now, is it the second year that it's happening?
Yes, we're making a lot of changes to make this year's event even better. We're advertising 65 breweries, but we'll probably have closer to 70 to 75.
Oh, wow.
Probably 150 plus beers, live music, food vendors, artisans, and a whole lot of new surprises for 2016. We're really excited.
Cool. And I see you guys were actually named the best outdoor event in Montgomery County last year.
We were.
So
that was
not
a
bad
surprise,
for the
but
first
we're
year.
Excited we're excited to get it, especially in our inaugural year. That was really cool.
Yeah, that's huge. That's really cool. And now, what's going to be different this year compared to last year?
Well, we have an expanded VIP hour, so not only will we be featuring limited edition beers, but we'll also be including wine and mead. We'll also be doing a costume contest for 2016. We're going to be we had outdoor games last year, which I think just makes any festival more fun. So we'll have an expanded game section. And we're going to have educational seminars, so like a brew university. I'm excited.
Oh, that's cool. I don't know that I've ever been to a fest that had something like that. That's a neat idea.
Yeah, because most of the fests are basically get everybody in, get all the vendors in, drink the beer, and then go home. But that's really cool to have the educational element.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. And all this came about because a bunch of my buddies are sitting around talking about how the festival went. Everybody had a great time in 2015, but we're like, what can we do to make it even better? So a couple ideas sprang out from drinking a few beers. Go figure.
That's where the best ideas come from.
Absolutely.
Now, you mentioned the VIP hour that you're going to have. Are tickets still available for that?
Yes, we have tickets available for VIP. I expect that we'll sell out of VIP tickets in the next month.
Okay.
So I would encourage people to buy tickets early.
Yeah, and I noticed on the website it made sure to mention that last year's VIP sold out.
Yes, and we have a pretty solid lineup of breweries that will be participating. So we're really excited. We keep getting commitments, and we should have a full listing as soon as possible. We have listed all the breweries that we anticipate will participate on our website, potsdambrewfest.com.
Yeah, and that's a pretty impressive list. I mean, in what looks to be alphabetical order, 2SP, Armstrong is going to be there, Ballast Point, Bell's, Brew Clear, Home Brew Club is going to be there, Cape May Brewing, Chatty Monks, just picking out some of the ones that we've had on the show then, too. Evil Genius is going to be there, Free Will, Hewitt Brothers, Heavy Seas is going to be there, Hidden River, we just had them on recently, Hijinks, Pizza Boy, Old Ford, Neshaminy Creek, Springhouse, and a bunch more.
What's really cool looking over the list of breweries is the mix of there's a ton of local breweries, but there's also breweries that are a little further away. You got Bell's on the list, you got Cigar City here. So it's cool to see, breweries like that, which you expect. I mean, they're big, nationally known breweries. You expect to see them at Beer Fest, but then aside of them, you have like Hidden River and I think, our local gems next to the big boys. So that's pretty cool.
Absolutely. One of the things that we like to do is feature as many local breweries as possible. So really good friends with the guys at Hidden River, love them. I know Steve and Adam over at Armstrong Ale House, looking forward to them opening in 2016. And then regional breweries, Victory's been around for a while, Bell's, Outwater, Cape May has a huge following now. So it's exciting. And of course we want some big national breweries, like Founders is exciting, Sierra Nevada.
I see Stone's on the list then too.
Dogfish Head.
Stone. So very excited.
Do you know what Stone happens to be bringing to the event?
I'm not sure yet, but
Okay.
they will be participating in our VIP hour.
Oh, okay. They've got some cool rare stuff that would be nice to put through there. Now, do you keep getting additions for the VIP? Are you able to say any particular beers that are going to be there? Or is it still too early to let the cat out of the bag?
Yeah, I'm not sure yet about which beers will be pouring during VIP, but right now our commitments for VIP include Neshaminy Creek, Pizza Boy, Lancaster, Victory, Ballast Point, Conshohocken. We're actually going to have a firkin from Conshohocken of Puddler's Row ESB with cinnamon. We had done a smaller firkin fest back in April, and Conshahocken's ESB was crowned best firkin beer.
Oh, cool!
So they're gonna brew it again. So that's really exciting. Stable 12 will have something from Tired Hands, and I think Firestone Walker. Oh, and Stone. I'm sorry.
And Stone, yeah,
of course. Now this is at the end of October, obviously, and last year's I believe was in early October. So this is a fall beer fest. Did you get like last year, and do you know if this year if a lot of the breweries are going to be bringing out fall seasonals? And you mentioned about the costume contest. Is there sort of like maybe a little bit of a Halloween theme since it's like a week before Halloween?
Yeah. So a couple things happened last year. We had held our event on a Sunday, and after hearing back from people, we decided to move to a Saturday so people could have every day, right? But the 22nd really is working out for us because there weren't a whole lot of other events that were conflicting with that date in the greater Pottstown area. So it actually is going to work out well for everybody. Everybody I've talked to is excited to come. And regarding the costume contest, it's a week before Halloween, so why not, right? Let's make it as fun as possible. So we're encouraging people to get dressed up as their favorite character or pseudo-personality or whatever it might be. And then we'll
beer
have
mascot.
That's right, Duckman.
I was just thinking that.
we'll have prizes and whatnot for the different categories, and we'll list them on our website. It's going to be a lot of fun.
That's cool. Dan, I think we're going to have to break out our press hat fedoras that we wore.
Yeah. Oh, mine is probably crushed in my trunk.
That
right
we
now.
bought specifically for when we recorded at Sour Sunday a couple months ago at Free Will. They requested that we wear old-timey press hats. I still have mine.
Yeah, no, I technically still have mine. So we mentioned the VIP hour. Tickets currently still available for it, expected to sell out. But the VIP hour is, $75? General admission is $45.
Correct.
And of course, there's deals for the DDs.
For the DDs, yeah.
Significantly reduced ticket price, which is usually the case when there's a DD. And I saw there's also some other special perks for the DDs. There's special T-shirts that only they get, and then there's like craft sodas and things that they can sample.
Yeah, so I don't think it's any fun to come as a DD and not be able to drink. Right?
Here's your bottle of water. Have fun.
Right. I've never liked that idea. So we'll be. Sprecher will be providing sodas for DDs, and that's exciting. So maybe we will have their root beer or cream soda or whatever. All those beers are phenomenal. And then we're also going to give DDs a unique T-shirt. And we encourage everybody to come to bring a DD.
Of course.
It's really important that you get home safely.
And at the very least, call an Uber and bring the driver in and get him one of the T-shirts.
Absolutely.
We'll do a 10-star rating for him. But that's really cool. It's extra love for the DD. And our DD, Rich, he's put up with us at a lot of fests, and he has never had craft sodas to sample, so I'd imagine this would be extra fun for him.
We're really looking forward to it. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, and like you said, everybody should bring a DD. You don't want to risk it. You definitely want to drink responsibly, and don't be the jackass that gets behind the wheel after a beer fest. But I mean, it's great you guys are taking care of them, because that means a lot. Now the DD ticket, so VIP drinkers was $75, DD was $20. General admission to drink is $45 and $10 for the DD. Which, I mean, if you have
Correct.
the DD, $10 is not bad to get, all that soda stuff. And then, in addition to the soda, now I know it's not included with any of the tickets, you guys are going to have some food trucks there also.
We are. We're actually really excited by the vendors and the food trucks that we're going to have participate. The Cow and the Curd is coming back up from Philadelphia. For the first year, we're having Sunflower Truck Stop, which is Shorty Sunflower Cafe in Pottstown. We have Lily's Grill. It's been voted one of the best restaurants in Pottstown for the last couple of years. We have cupcakes coming from Beverly's Pastry Shop. Grumpy's hand-carved sandwiches, and Heart Food Truck will also be there.
Ooh. I know you said about the Cow and the Curd. I've had their stuff before. I've been to a few events they were at. Their food is so good. Oh, it's incredible.
So there's also going to be, aside from obviously all the beer, the educational stuff, costume contest, all kinds of awesome things. Also live music. I think I saw Celtic. Oh, now I'm forgetting the name of the band.
Celtic Spirit Band.
Celtic Spirit. Thank you.
Celtic Spirit played at our event last year. They were phenomenal. They're a band that's based in Pottstown. I like to include as many local businesses and organizations as possible. So Terry Algier is the head of that, and his band is fantastic. We've invited them back this year, and they jumped at the chance.
Are they going to be playing for the whole event?
Yes, I've asked them to play the entire time.
Wow.
So starting at VIP, going right through to general admission.
I imagine
So
they'll take
with
a few breaks,
in
but yeah,
between.
that's pretty awesome.
With breaks in between. They're really fantastic. If you've never heard them, you're in for a treat.
Very cool. And we should mention that as far as times go, so, they'll be on most of this show, but the VIP hour is going to be 12. The general admission starts off at 1, and then the event is going to close at 4:30. And then as far as
Correct.
parking goes, I noticed you have a little section on the website that has some information for that. So you're recommending people park at the Coventry Mall, and then you're going to have shuttles to the event, right?
Correct. There's really limited parking at the park, and in order for everyone to get a spot and get there safely, we have partnered with the Coventry Mall. We're going to have about 1,000 parking spaces, and we're going to run free shuttles from the mall to Manatoni Park. You can buy tickets at the mall. You can park your car. We'll have a couple of restrooms there, so everybody's comfortable. It's going to work out really well.
And I have to say, so your website, you have the FAQ section, but I really like at the bottom, you have festival tips on what to expect. So it's plan ahead for transportation, stay hydrated, don't drink on the empty stomach. I like those little tips. So you don't see a lot of events have that kind of stuff on there.
My favorite tip is bring cash for souvenirs, i.e. Beer Busters
t-shirts, which we had a past episode where we promoted the event, and we said that during the VIP hour, anybody who mentions that they heard a deal, you're going to do 2 shirts. They're normally 20 apiece, 2 for $30, only during the VIP hour.
Oh, very cool. I like that idea.
That's our special little promotion we decided to come up with. That came up at the spur of the moment. We were just talking about the event, and all of a sudden it was like, let's do a special on T-shirts.
Yeah. So there's an impressive list of breweries. You're going to have an impressive list of food trucks that are there. You're going to have live music. You're going to have a costume contest. I don't really think this event's missing anything.
I think we're doing okay. Although I will say that we're always looking for new ideas. So if anybody has an idea, we're excited to hear it. And we'll try to incorporate. So we're very good at taking feedback, both positive and negative, and making the event better from year to year. That's the goal.
Cool. And if people want to reach out and give you some of those ideas, where should they get a hold of you?
Sure. They can email us at info@pottstownbrewfest.com. Or they can contact us on our website, so through the contact button.
And you guys also have a Facebook page for the event where you can get updates. And then, before we wrap up, we should also mention that the event benefits the Pottstown Police Athletic League.
Correct. Every year we look to, every event that we do, and every year we try to partner with a local charity. So in the past, we've partnered with the Pottstown Elks Lodge. For the Firkin Fest, we did the Pottstown Library. And for this event, will be the Pottstown Police Athletic League. So you're really benefiting kids, or kids are benefiting from the event. It's a great thing. We love giving back to the community, and this is going to be a really fun event. Can't wait.
Yeah, it seems like it. It's really shaping up to be. It's a great list that's there. It sounds great. I don't think I've ever wanted October to come any quicker. Because, I mean, not only that, but you'll have, The Walking Dead will be back, so there's also that. But I'm more excited, I think, for the event. It's going to be a great time. I'm very honored to be part of it. Thanks for having us on board with it, and I might have to wear a costume.
I think we will.
Awesome.
You should have an award for best vendor costume.
Well, we've in the past we've had awards for best vendor table, awards for best costume. I imagine best couple and best group. So, hey, anything's possible.
All of which this year will go to Beer Busters. Rich and Steph can win couple. We can win group. We'll win costume. Nobody stands a chance here. And now
all I'm saying is there could be a really great Beer Busters, Ghostbusters theme. Just saying.
When we started way back when, and we came up with the name Beer Busters, it was supposed to be a take on Ghostbusters. And somewhere I have the very crappy original art that I did. And Wayne is our artist and our graphic designer. And I showed him the picture. And afterwards, he came up with something much better. And I was looking back. I said, "Oh, hey, I'm glad you didn't do anything with that picture." He goes, "Yeah, I didn't know how to tell you that it sucked."
Hey, but you got to start somewhere.
Can't wait to have you guys included in our event.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So this is all Saturday, October 22nd, Manatawny Park in Pottstown. A lot of breweries, over 65 breweries, over 150 beers, great VIP hour. It's going to be a lot of support, live music. You can't really go wrong with this. And for such a great price, I don't think there's anything better you can do on a Saturday afternoon in October. I mean, even if you just do the GA and not the VIP, for $45 you're going to get a great value. VIP, that extra $30 is going to get you so much more. But either way, it's going to be a lot of fun. And Tim, we can't thank you enough for taking some time to talk to us about it.
Hey, you're welcome. Thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, cool. And I guess we will see you in October.
Looking forward to it.
Take care.
All right, cool. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Well, that was cool to hear from Tim. I'm looking forward to the Pottstown Brew Fest. That's going to be a lot of fun. There's a lot of good breweries that are going to be there. VIP is going to have some really cool stuff. And it seems like it's going to be a great time. And it is an award winner. And I'm honored that we're going to be part of it. That's going to be really cool.
Going to be awesome, just like the effort of Brewfest, which in real time is tomorrow, but in podcast time was a few weeks ago. So I'm sure it was awesome, and you can read all about it at beerbusterspodcast.com.
Of course, all the pictures. You can get the entire skinny on there, beerbusterspodcast.com. But that brings us to where we are today. So like I said earlier, we are at Gunpowder Falls Brewing. That is in New Freedom, Pennsylvania. And Martin was kind enough to invite us out here. Martin, thanks for having us out.
You're welcome.
Now, I know. I was looking over the little bio of you that we have, so we have some talking points, and I want to start off by asking why German style beers. I respect that and I love that, but you don't see it much. So, what got you into that?
I think that's a long story.
Probably, I would imagine.
Start at the beginning.
I always laugh when people say, "I respect that and I like that."
Okay.
But you're a moron for doing it.
Oh
no! It's because it's a style of beer that I love.
Fair enough.
And when I shouldn't even say when I got into this business. A, it's poor grammar. And B, it is chronologically incorrect. when I began my path into brewing back in college, that was really... I was actually thinking about this the other day, that I've been in this business now for 30 years, maybe longer. And back in the 80s and before that, the pinnacle of brewing was always German beer. You know, it's what everybody said. You know, Germans make the best beer. And that's what everybody in the United States at that time grew up essentially believing. And then I actually tried German beer, and it was so far better than anything that we were drinking domestically brewed. So I said, why can't I brew that here, but yet it'll be fresher than what anybody else is doing, and just make a brewery out of that? So that's what drove me into German brewing. Now, obviously, 30 years later, the entire beer landscape has changed in the United States.
Pretty drastically, too. Yeah, absolutely.
And we now have a generation of consumers that are in their early 20s that have no knowledge or understanding at all about why German beers were considered, and within certain demographics in the country still, are considered to be the best beers brewed. Because they have grown up in an environment where there are so many great beers. And their understanding and knowledge of beer is that they live in a world in the United States of just infinite choices of great beer to choose from.
More than infinite, I think.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And some not so good.
Yeah, well, and that's, yeah.
And to a certain degree now, it is actually causing a closed-mindedness within the younger consumer, that when you say Pilsner or Lager, there's a immediate reflexive dismissal of, oh, I don't like that.
Right, because they're thinking the Budweisers,
Correct.
you know, the light
Exactly.
lagers, the
Yes.
Heinekens. Yeah.
Yes. But that's why I brew this style of beer, because when I was growing up, and just for my own personal taste, this is the beer I really, really like. Now, don't get me wrong. I love, pale ales, bitters, extra special bitters, India pale ales, even all the Belgian, the lambics, the sours, and whatnot. But at heart, I am a consuming consumer, and I want to
Right.
drink.
Right.
And for me, after two, highly hopped, highly alcohol-charged beers, I'm done. That's it. I can't drink anymore. And I want to keep drinking.
Yeah.
My taste bud, my palate's wrecked. I really can't taste. When I drink beer, I love beer, so I want to enjoy it, and I want to drink and drink and drink. And no, that doesn't make me an alcoholic.
And I think one of the problems with lager having that negative stigma is because when people say lager, now in Pennsylvania we think Yuengling, but most people think Budweiser. They think of the macro beers, and that's not necessarily the case. There are some, and I don't even think that some craft beer drinkers realize that many styles are in fact categorized under lager. Lager is not just American light lager.
Yeah,
there is so much more
thing.
that falls under that category. And I think that a lot of craft brewers are doing a better job at educating the beer drinker, having places like Gunpowder Falls where the German beers are celebrated, or even a place like Victory that, they have the hoppy beers, but they also make really great lagers as well.
Oh, then you have like Jack's Abbey, which is
of course,
exclusively
that's
lager.
making the lager cool again.
And I know in our beer ventures, we the people that we come across, and this just occurred to me now, a lot of people in the industry are a little older. Like, we don't really come across a whole lot of people like in their early 20s, like just
Ethan.
reaching drinking age. There's a few, yeah. So I wonder if there is a divide, because I feel like there has been recently a growing appreciation for lagers and traditional German styles in general, and the idea that not every good beer has to be, made with gooseberries or it has, 800 IBUs, and I feel like that's starting to become a thing, but maybe in the younger demographic, it's not so much. I don't know. I'm old. I don't know what the kids like anymore.
For example, we had a beer festival 2 weekends ago just up the road in Glen Rock. So tiny, tiny little village. Well, I should say town. We don't say villages. And they have they get a good turnout. It's a little local festival. Maybe 1,000 people, 2,000 show up, and they invite the local breweries, Yingling, Budweiser,
very local, hyper local,
Gunpowder Falls.
Yeah.
So we have our little tent jockey box set up there, and of course we have the Pilsner and the Dunkel. And so this one lady with her friends comes up and they say, "Well, what do you have?" And, "Well, we have a Pilsner and a Dunkel." "Oh, I don't like Pilsners." "Oh, really?" "Well, have you ever had an authentic German style Pilsner?" "Well, no, I don't like Pilsners." "Well, have you ever been to Germany?" "No." "Oh. Well, all right, just give me the Pilsner. I'll try it." And so we poured for her, and she, "Oh, this is really good." I was like, "Right, it's not natural light, honey." Yeah. And then later in the day, another 20-something, very young 20-something comes up, says, "Well, what do you have?" And I had been chatted up by this guy who is an American who lives in Germany now. He's on contract with the U.S. military. And he was blown away to find that there was a brewery in his previous hometown that is specializing in authentic German-style beer. And he tried it, and he's just blown away. He's amazed, like, "Oh, my God, this is so amazing. This is like being back home in Germany. Nobody else around here is doing this. I can't understand why you're not doing better." So we're chatting, and this young girl comes up and says, "Well, what do you guys have?" And we said, "Well, we have a Pilsner and a Dunkel. They're both lager beers." "Oh, I don't like lagers." "Oh, okay." And he immediately takes offense. So he's not even German, but he lives there, and he takes offense. And he says, "No, you need to try this Dunkel. It is Amazeballs."
Amazeballs, nice. So that begs the question: do you just your beer is simply Gunpowder Falls Pilsner, Gunpowder Falls Dunkel? There's no crazy names for the beers, but maybe you should start thinking that this is the Amazeballs before you tell them what style it is.
Well, funny you mentioned that. I have actually thought about that for the past 2 years, just to break through the noise and the clutter.
Yeah.
But so many people say no, because we like the Gunpowder Falls name. Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of people respond very well to the Gunpowder Falls name. And so if we go off, because I was going to... I was going to call, I think the Pilsner, we were going to call it the Dancing Beaver. And the Dunkel was going to be Naked Gnome.
Naked Gnome, that's a good
Wow.
one. Naked Gnome. Although, did you Google them? Because there's a good chance they're already taken.
Every single name has been taken.
That's about right.
But people have said, no, just stick with the Gunpowder Falls, because the quality of the beer is what really needs to come through.
Right.
So it is a difficult time for an all-lager brewery, and especially an all-lager brewery that specializes in German style. I don't know. I mean, one would think that in South Central PA, with all the Pa Dutch heritage, that they would be flocking all over this, but beer politics.
Yeah, there is that. Now, all your beer that you brew strictly Reinheitsgebot adhering.
Yes.
Just the 4 ingredients and nothing
Absolutely,
else. So
100%.
Strictly.
Well, not only are we Reinheitsgebot, but
he said it much better than I did.
I have recently learned that I am not by any means, but the beer is vegan.
Oh, really? Oh,
yes.
Wow. Okay.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah, I never would have thought of that.
Well, not necessarily, because you could brew according to the Reinheitsgebot, but in your filtration processing, you could abandon. Most people don't understand that Reinheitsgebot doesn't mean just what you put into the beer for the brewery, the physical brewing. It has been extended in Germany to mean an entire process. So the Reinheitsgebot covers not just how you brew it, but it's how you ferment, how you filter, how you package.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was strictly an ingredients thing.
Right,
Yeah.
and most craft breweries, I have learned to, even my edification, use finings. And I was not aware, but there are a lot of findings made from animal parts.
Yes. Yeah. There's a lot of things made from animal parts that you wouldn't think, actually.
So what is your filtration process here?
Interesting you asked that. That's a very sore subject with me. It damn near put us out of business all last year. I had relied on big-name filtration company based in the U.S., which has bought up pretty much every filter company in the world. And big-name U.S. filter company has been billing and selling their modular lenticular filter system as a superb craft brewery filtration method. It does a wonderful job.
But not so much.
But not so much.
Not so much.
Okay, for one, on a financial reason, those modules, I need to get the throughput for the volume, the tiny, tiny, tiny volume we do. 2 modules at a total of $800 a pop.
Wow.
If you break it down to a per filtration cost, your filtration cost should run you around $20 a batch, plus or minus, depending on how much volume you're putting through it. For the volume I'm doing, it should be right around $20. At the end of the day, because these modules would plug so freaking fast, my per filtration cost came out to be $200 per batch.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Exactly. Not only was it $200, basically we're talking 10 times the cost of what it should be. The shelf life was like non-existent. So I had initially started off with a very tight grade micron modules. And they were just plugging. I could only get 3 batches filtered through them, and then I was just constantly breaking the filter down, backwashing, losing beer, breaking it down. I'd have to do 3 or 4 breakdowns just to get an entire tank blown through. So not only was there the cost of the modules, but there's the cost of time. So it would take me upwards of 2 days to filter a batch of beer because these things would plug up so much. So I just raised holy hell, and the rep said, "Oh, well, you're using too tight a grade.
You're doing it wrong.
You need to go to a coarser grade to get more throughput." So I did that, and yeah, I got more throughput, more longevity out of the modules, but I lost my shelf life. And I was losing customers, and I had consumers, contacting us saying, "I had your beer at the brewery, and it was amazing, but it sucks on the shelf." Mm-hmm. So I thought I had a bacterial infection, but no, I cleaned pretty damn well. It wasn't a bacterial infection. What it was is that we were not removing enough of the bacterial matter that could grow in the beer after a short amount of time to cause off flavors. So we bit the bullet and bought a diatomaceous earth, or Kieselguhr filter. Kieselguhr, diatomaceous earth being dirt.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah. Steph knew that. I didn't know that.
That's what we used at Iron Hill.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Hated filter days.
Oh, I love it now. Oh, filter days now are amazing.
Well, yeah, the end product is amazing, but the process, of course, compared to your previous process, I don't know.
So, and we had always used in the breweries I apprenticed at and worked in Germany, it was always, the primary filtration was diatomaceous earth, DE, Kieselguhr, and that takes the heavy load. So, I now have a horizontal screen filter that I dose in the Kieselguhr, and it just chews up all the crap out of the beer. From there, then, it goes into what was the primary filter that I've converted into we'll call it the microbiological filter. So I'm using a sub-micron, a 0.45 micron modules in it now for the bacterial removal so that we get our extended shelf life. And now I can filter an entire tank of beer in about 1 hour, and with setup and breakdown, the entire filtration time takes me 2 hours.
Much better than 2 days.
Yes, incredible. Start to finish, no loss. In fact, I've even cut my loss that we're actually now getting almost 20% greater throughput, which means I now have more product to sell. And my shelf life, if the product is cared for properly all the way through the distribution chain, will be 6 months. Reality is, because most beer distributors, or in other states, liquor stores, keep the beer warm on the shelf, we have about 3 months now.
Yeah.
3 to 4 months. especially in the summer now because our wholesalers don't have reefer trucks. That sort of adds to it.
Yeah.
But at least we're not expiring within 3 weeks.
True. Wow. Yeah, that's...
So, the filtration is a huge component. And so diatomaceous earth is dirt, no animal products. And this is special dirt. That is...
Special dirt.
It is special dirt.
Special dirt.
That is mined in certain parts of the world, mainly Lompoc, California. Or there's Bad Kreuznach, I believe it is. I could be off in the place.
I love his
Germany.
pronunciations.
So this is dirt from the Pleistocene epoch. It's dug out. It's put into calcinification ovens around 1800 degrees Celsius. So you calcinify it, and you get these little tiny microscopic diatomites, which are really what's filtering the beer. So it's nature.
Filtered by nature. You should put that on your packaging.
If you've never seen a picture of it or seen it under a microscope, it's really fun to look at. So I assume most of our listeners don't have access to diatomaceous earth and the microscope.
I would actually...
if they have a swimming pool.
If they do, that's pretty amazing. But, Google it. It's really fun to see at the microscopic level.
And then the submicron, the 0.45 molecules, are made out of cellulose. So tree, fiber, plant matter, no animals. So I got a call one day from a hipster bar or a hipster food place down in Baltimore. And they asked me, they said, so we need to know, is your beer vegan? And I said, well, first you need to tell me what is vegan. Because I don't know what vegan is. They said,
that went over well.
they said, so you eat meat? I'm like, yeah.
There's a grill right out front, man.
So they said, well, it means you can't have any animal matter in the production of your beer. I said, hell no, do I? There's no way I ever would. Oh, well, you're vegan then. I'm like, alrighty,
sure.
Cool.
Fair enough. You say so. Yeah. Why not?
So you brought up Germany a few times. You have a very unique brewing education background, and talk a little bit about your time in Germany and your internship or apprenticeship, and it's quite an impressive bio you have.
I was lucky. The beer god smiled on me at a very early age in life and then quickly abandoned me. So when I was in college, I had grand hopes, or so I thought, of becoming a pediatrician. But the lab work bored the hell out of me at that time, watching, photosynthesis, watch the plant grow to life. Of course, now I have a bunch of plants along the windows. I'm fascinated by the way they grow. I was also always, though, from a young age, interested in just how you get this liquid out of a solid, the grain. And I would get now I'm going to really date myself. So when I was a kid, we had these things called books. When in
buoks. What are buoks?
When in a series there was like 40 of them, it was called an encyclopedia.
That's like Wikipedia, right?
Kind of.
Except more accurate.
Only written by experts.
Right. And I would always go to the B section for beer. And I would read about how beer is brewed. Of course, it was one of the shortest sections out of the whole encyclopedia.
It's the internet. You can say that. It's fine.
So
the funny thing is, though, if you had just gone a couple pages earlier, you'd be like raising bees right now and selling honey.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of beer.
And that was quite an extensive section. So I'd always been fascinated by it. So one day in biology lecture, I went to school out in Southern California. That's where I was raised. And my biology professor, Brother Smulders, made mention about how his family was in the brewing industry in the Netherlands. Light bulb. So after I was convinced that med school was not going to be the path that I was going to take, I went to his office one day and said, Brother Smulders, you mentioned in class that your family is involved in brewing, and this is something that has always interested me. Do you happen to know anybody locally that's in brewing that you might be able to put me in touch with? Because I think when I graduate, this is what I would like to do. I said, actually, yeah, I do. I have a contact out at the AB plant in Van Nuys. I'll give him a call. I can't guarantee anything, but we'll see what happens. All right, that's all I ask. So a couple of weeks went by, I hadn't heard anything, so I swung by his office one afternoon, and I said, hey, I just wanted to check in and ask if you had ever made contact with your contact at Anheuser-Busch. He's like, actually, yeah, I got a hold of him yesterday, and he's going to be giving you a call. His name is Fritz Schmidt. He said he's real busy, but he's going to introduce you to some people out there. I said, all right, cool. So, actually, about 2 or 3 days later, Fritz calls up and says, yeah, I'm very busy. I have soccer I coach, and we work very long hours here at Anheuser-Busch. But I have you call this man. His name is Josef Engel. And he talked to you. He make all good. Okay? Like, okay, that's great. So I got in touch with Josef. He worked the graveyard shift, and he said, in a similar dialect, yeah, you come out. We show you around. It's okay, yeah. So I met Josef one late night in Van Nuys at the AB plant because he worked the 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. shift. And I was blown away. Now, going back all those decades ago, I was rail thin. I mean, I was struggling to just stay at $1.28. And I mean, I couldn't add any weight. I just would eat, and nothing would stick.
Nothing would happen.
And so the pipes out at the AB plant were like about 2.5 feet in diameter. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I could fucking swim through those things.
And that will be your job.
So I was taken. It was like, this is it. Yes, this is where I belong. This is what I want to do. So I got to then, after my first visit, he was, oh, so you like this? I'm like, yeah. He says, you want to come back? I'm like, can I? So it became a routine that I would go out once a week to hang out with the graveyard shift. And then I was introduced to the plant manager and all the brewmasters, and they invited me to their breakfast meetings. And so they were then at one day, they're like, Martin, if you are going to succeed in brewing, you must go to Germany. If you are going to go to the sea level at Anheuser-Busch, you must go to Germany.
Let's make the pilgrimage.
Nobody at the sea level can get there without going to Germany. Like, okay. So they said, you must contact this man, Joachim Kortum. He knows everybody in brewing. So, okay. So I got in touch with him, and he thought I was just some hobbyist. And he's like, read this magazine. It's Zimmergy. You'll be fine. Like, no, I don't want to brew in the bathtub. I want to actually do this as a career. It's like, okay, we'll stay in touch. Write me once a month or once every 2 months. We'll see what happens. And then I was a junior in college, and my then girlfriend went to study abroad in London. And so I went over during spring break to visit her. And so she says, for a surprise, and this was like in the mid-'80s, that we could go to either Munich or Italy.
Well.
Munich. Are you sure we could go to Italy? No, let's go to Munich.
Yeah.
It's the coldest winter on record at this time. Let's go to Munich. So we went there, and the last night during our stay in Munich, because we were staying with her then best friend, who had a fiance who lived in Munich.
To our listeners, you can hear the air quotes, I'm sure.
I asked him, I said, so, I'm interested in getting into brewing. Oh, and let me backtrack a bit. While we were in Munich for the first time, the beer blew me away. I'm like, holy shit. This is what beer is all about.
I've been drinking water this whole time.
The flavors from just this, from the 4 simple ingredients of just malt, water, hops, and yeast was just phenomenal. And even though everybody in Germany at that time legally had to brew according to the Reinheitsgebot, the differences were amazing as well. So even though everybody has a Pilsner, it all did not taste the same.
Right.
So I said, this is the business I want to get into. What would you suggest? He's like, he gets out the yellow pages. Bees. And he goes, well, you can go to any one of these breweries.
Just throw a dart at it.
Exactly. Paulaner, Löwenbräu, Spaten. Said they all have an apprentice program. I'm sure they'll know. And then he says, no, wait. This is where you want to go. The Bayerische Brauerbund. the Bavarian Brewers Association. Go there, they will know if there is a school and if there's apprenticeship programs you could do. So the next morning, trudged on out in sub-zero weather with the wind whipping, and found the building, opened the door, well, tried to open the door, but it's locked. Motherfucker. It's cold out here.
Let me in.
But
or at least give me some beer.
But it's a private association, so not anybody can walk in. Right. You need an appointment. So this gentleman happened to be walking by, sees me trying to open the door, opens up and says, yes. And I said, I'm here from America, and I want to brew beer.
You got quite a look at that.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So he didn't speak any English, and I didn't speak any German at this time. And so he says, ein Moment, bitte. And I'm like, okay.
I think I know what that means.
Well, I thought it meant 1 minute, please.
Yes. Well, the good thing is, though, the beer, and I mean, that pretty much, that works either way.
More or less the same, yeah.
Yes. Well, he didn't say minute. He said moment. Moment means a moment. I'm not going to really tell you how long it's going to be.
Right.
So an hour later, he comes back.
You are frostbitten.
Of course. With another gentleman.
Oh, you're still alive? All right.
In that case, yeah, I feel bad for you now.
Snow white hair. His name, if I'm not mistaken, was Peter Ludwig von Schmucker. Herr Professor Doktor.
Oh,
wow.
Ludwig von Schmucker.
That's quite the moniker.
Well, so he says, and he speaks impeccable English. Yes, in Munich, we have here two of the world's best brewing schools. We have the oldest brewing school in the world, Weihenstephan, and then we have the oldest private brewing school in the world, Dömitz. So you must decide which is best for you. You go visit and make a choice. And he says, you know the S-Bahn system. I said, yeah, well, that's how I got here. So I'm acting like I know the system. So he says, oh, good. So you take the blue line. You know the blue line, the one with the number 1 on it. You go all the way out to Freising. You get off. You go down the steps. You go under the bridge. You go back up the steps. You find the footpath. You follow it. You find Weihenstephan. I have no fucking idea what to do to say it.
Sure. The bridge and the steps. Sure.
Exactly. So he sees the glazed look that I have on my eyes, and he says, Kommt mit mir. So I follow him down this hallway, long hallway, to this beautiful office, and he says, Nimm dein Platz. So I sat down. And he gets on the telephone and calls the directors of each school to get me personal interviews that day.
Wow. Nice.
Like, cool. This,
yeah.
God damn it, I'm an American. This is the service I expect. I went out and visited the schools. And after I had visited Dömitz, knew that was the school that was going to be best suited for me and what I was looking for. So after the tour, I sat down with the school director, Herr Zentgraf, and he's like, yeah, you come, Dömitz, no problem, that'd be great, wunderbar. I'm like, so you're just gonna let me in?
Just like that.
Yeah, no problem, you fill out this. It was a curriculum vitae, and so I'm just gonna fill this out, and you're gonna let me in? You're not gonna give me a test? We give you a small test. You call this man up, his name is Joachim Kotum. Okay, you call him, and we make everything good. I already know Joachim. You know Joachim? Yeah, I know Joachim. Alles klar, wunderbar, kein Problem. You're coming to Dömitz.
You don't even have to fill out the paperwork.
Exactly. No, I didn't.
Exactly.
So, as it turned out, I get back to L.A., and I call up Joachim or Joe. And I'm like, Joe, I got great news. And he's, Martin, I have great news too. I go first. So the very day that I was at Dömitz, he was actually looking for me in Los Angeles because he had found out that Herr Zentgraf, who I just met, was going to be in L.A. in August with his best friend who owned a brewery, and he was going to work me the apprenticeship needed to get to brewing school. So he's like, yes, it will be perfect. You're going to get the apprenticeship so you can go to Dömitz and become a Braumeister. I'm like, well, Joe, that's awesome, but I met Zentgraf. What? You met Zentgraf? Like, yeah, the day that you were looking for me, I was talking to Zentgraf. Martin, how did you do that? So I explained the story about meeting their Ludwig von Schmucker, and he was astounded. He said, Martin, how did you meet this man? I don't know. They opened the door and let me in.
I knocked.
I waited for an hour.
Yes.
In the cold.
Martin, do you know who this man is? Nope. But he spoke good English. Martin, this man is the president of the entire Brewing Association. Nobody gets an appointment with this man ever.
Wow.
Oh, okay. Just by pure fortuitous dumb luck, which left me ever since then. That is how I got to go to brewing school in Germany.
Wow.
So, in that coming August, Herr Zentgraf and his best friend, Herr Laus, who owned a fairly good-sized brewery in Germany, came to the United States, and all the brewmasters at the AB plant negotiated my deal for me because I couldn't speak German at this time. And then my last 2 years in college, it's like, dude, you need to learn German.
It might be helpful.
Yeah. So that's how I got to Germany. That's why I now only brew German beer, because that's what I know best.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as a place to start,
Yeah.
you really can't get much better.
started at the top.
That is a heck of a story.
So once you return to the United States, what to do with all of this knowledge now?
Yeah, that's when it all went downhill.
I mean,
You should have stayed over in Germany.
and a bigger question, how did you leave California and end up on the East Coast?
Yeah.
The short answer? Stupidity.
Yeah.
At least you're honest.
Yep.
The longer answer? Brewing.
Okay.
Although, I mean, stupidity, brewing.
Oh, jeez. Really, Wayne?
We're counting syllables.
Back then, I thought that the Mid-Atlantic region would be a perfect place to start a brewery, because at that time, back in the early 90s, there was nothing in the Mid-Atlantic. I mean, it was a vast wasteland. So I figured, why go home and face... Even then, it was still fairly competitive in California.
Yeah.
And in Southern California, craft brewing was non-existent. The marketplace in Southern California back then, one has to understand, is that the consumers of Southern California are the most fickle lot. What's hot today is going to be passé and out 6 weeks from now.
Right.
That is no way to build a business. And even local businesses in Southern California, even in just until recently, could not get local support. It was damn near impossible, regardless of what you were doing, whether it be a surfboard company, a restaurant, or anything. It was just impossible because of the fickle nature of Southern Californians. So I figured, the Mid-Atlantic, good disposable income, educated people, no breweries in sight. Sure, perfect. We won't go into all the personal opinions now, having been here for over 25 years.
That's for later.
But that's how I came here. So I started off in the lab at the old G. Holloman Brewing Company down on the south side of 695 in Baltimore, in their lab, right as they started to strike.
Oh, nice. Good timing.
Yes. So that then girlfriend that was with me in Germany became my wife, and she was pregnant with twins. So it's like, well, we need some cash, so I'm going to be a scab.
Yeah.
And about 2 months after that gig, somehow got put in contact with the money people of Capital City Brewing Company. And they really didn't have anybody who knew what they were doing to put a brewery together and start the brewing operation. So I'm like, yeah, I can do that. And so I put together the brewing operations for Capital City Brewing Company. And that was actually a really great experience, just because of all the people that I was able to meet that came through that place in Washington, D.C. I mean, I met everybody of just such a huge cross-section of society throughout the entire world that came through that location in D.C., which that hammered home to me, and you'll laugh now given where we're located. Location.
Yeah. That's true.
Hey, but you can see your brewery from a major interstate, so come on.
That's true.
Although most people see the big-ass sign that says Gunpowder Falls Brewery, and I've heard them even say, I just couldn't really figure out what was going on there.
Really? Really?
Yes.
Really?
Well, I mean, let's give them credit. It is Shrewsbury.
Yeah.
Even though legally we're in New Freedom, we're physically in Shrewsbury.
Shrewsbury, okay.
Which is another one of those quirks of Pennsylvania. But,
yeah, Pennsylvania has a lot of quirks,
to say the least.
Yeah, to say the least.
But hey, at least it's one of the most friendly beer states in the country, damn it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, of course.
Right up there not right there with Utah.
Actually, no, it really is. I say that in all sincerity and honesty.
Yeah.
Honesty. Not like the commies down south, where you cannot really do anything without having this, that, and the other bureaucrat writing up you, telling you, no, you can't do that.
So is that what happens? That we're not too far from the Mason-Dixon line here.
Yes.
So is that like you cross that threshold? And because we always complain about Pennsylvania, and it,
I would say complain, but maybe lament some regulations.
Some of though they have gotten markedly better in recent years. But.
As a consumer, yes.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, everything about beer is easier when you're a consumer.
Correct. As a manufacturer, as a brewer, Pennsylvania really is a great state.
Okay.
So is that the reason why you chose Pennsylvania to open Gunpowder Falls and not Maryland, which is where everything else...
So I left Capital City to start my own place shortly thereafter, which was Ellicott Mills Brewing Company in Ellicott City, Maryland. And that was a freaking nightmare. Just the bureaucratic regulatory environment in Maryland was just horrific. And I'm not even talking from the state level, just the local level. But we made it, we did fantastically well. You know, another home run out of the ballpark with that deal. But I thought I was done because it quickly dawned on me that as well as Ellicott Mills Brewing was doing, it was going to be a one-horse pony. It was going to be nothing more really than a brew pub / restaurant. And really, I just want to brew. And I want the beer to be distributed in a wide enough geographic area that we're doing enough sales so we can continue to brew tomorrow. So I thought I was done with brewing because the regulatory environment in Maryland is just so stifling. So I went to my then state senator, who actually listened to me.
Wow.
And I said, look, I didn't say dude, but I said the laws in Maryland are actually quite restrictive, and if I understand the role of government properly, government has no role being in business. But yet, if you read the Code of Maryland, government is dictating how the brewery has to set up their business model. It clearly states in the code how you will earn your money and how you will sell your beer. And I said, that's inherently wrong. And he said, I agree with you. Government should not be telling you how to establish your business model. So he was going to sponsor legislation to make it a little more friendly to operate as a new brewery in Maryland. Well, a couple of special interest groups caught wind.
Yeah, of course they did.
And said, look, you bring that to a vote on the floor, everything you're proposing for this term goes down with it. So he said, I'm sorry, I got to yank. I can't do it. I said, that's not a problem. I'll just take my money to Pennsylvania.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, and before I said that, I had done my research. So what got me spurred is I was just struggling with why are so many breweries in California, Oregon, Washington, Colorado doing so well, but why do breweries in Maryland struggle so much? I mean, look at Heavy Seas. Mm-hmm. I mean, Hugh Sisson, for the better part of 20 years, was always on the verge of bankruptcy. And he was struggling every day to keep his brewery afloat. And I often wondered, Hugh, why do you stay in Maryland? You could go anywhere else and probably be 3 times your size. But at the end of the day, that's home. That's where he was born. That's where he's raised. That's where his friends are. So he wants to do it in his hometown. But he had to struggle for 20 years until he finally got accepted. So I started reading all the annotated codes of every state, the liquor laws. And I saw that in California, Washington, and Oregon, they kind of let you do what I actually had in mind for my vision. So I thought, all right, let's check out Colorado. Read their laws on breweries, and it's like, well, that's really interesting, too. So, all right, well, you're not, at this point in time, it's not feasible to go back home. So let's focus on where you're at. So let's look at the states surrounding Maryland. So I read the laws of Delaware. Dude, they got it going on. I mean,
Delaware's good, yeah.
As long as you pay your taxes, we don't care.
Thank you, Sam.
Exactly.
So I'm like, all right, well, that's interesting. That's pretty much similar to the West Coast. So then I looked at Virginia, because I was actually going to do this in Alexandria, but then I realized what the industrial rates were going for down in Alexandria. I'm like, fuck that. But they actually, even in Virginia, with their ABC stores, still are very friendly towards breweries, and it's on the sales side that they're very friendly to breweries and how they can sell their product to financially make a go of. So then I said, all right, let's check out the District of Columbia. Notoriously corrupt. No state of their own. But again, they mimic most of the other jurisdictions around Maryland. So then the light bulb finally went off 20 years later.
Wait a minute.
It's not taxes, idiot. It's the regulatory environment that determines whether a business is going to succeed or fail. And then I realized, asshole, you live 15 minutes from the Pennsylvania border. So that's when I started seriously looking up here, what would it cost? And then it all came together. So
and the rest, as they say.
Yes, thus came Gunpowder Falls Brewing.
And that all culminated in, was it 2012 that you opened up here at
Correct.
This location?
Yes.
Nice. So 4 years later, has it paid off coming to Pennsylvania?
Well, while I laugh, we are still alive.
That's good.
There you go.
That's good. You're still brewing.
Barely.
Oh, man.
The market, though, just in the last year and a half has just so radically and dynamically changed, it's not even funny. So while Pennsylvania is a great place to establish as a brewery, the marketplace has shifted so fast that even with the good regulatory environment for breweries in Pennsylvania, it is infinitely now more difficult than it was ever before, because now you have the sick money coming into brewing. Sick money meaning big-time venture capital, investment banker, multinational.
Right, yeah.
We're not talking, doctors and lawyers putting up a few $1 million. Mm-hmm. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars are flooding in daily. And it all then comes down to distribution. And when you have that kind of money at play, they will choke off your distribution channels like that.
Of course.
And that has nothing to do with the laws of any state, whether it makes it easier or more difficult for a brewery to exist. That's capitalism.
Yeah, and if you can't get your beer into people's hands, I mean, no matter how well you're running your brewery, that's...
Exactly. So I could have one of the greatest beers in the world, but if you can't get it to the consumer, or if you can't get it to the consumer in a timely manner, it doesn't matter.
Yep. So you have, on the non-distribution side, do you have a lot of local support here in the brewery, here in the tap room? Do you have a lot of regulars?
I have a lot of regulars, yes. But it's still surprising that even though we are in a very small town, how many people still don't know that we're here?
Yeah.
One could say, well, your marketing sucks, Martin. But there's also a lot of local legal restrictions. We can't advertise because we have alcohol. So the big paper that gets distributed to every household that everybody reads will not take alcohol advertising.
Oh, yeah. Never really thought about that. I guess
so how I reach even just the local consumer is difficult, because even though this is, Pa Dutch, there's also a hugely strong Christian conservative mentality that beer is bad.
Yeah.
But hey, chain smoke all you want.
Exactly. But beer's bad.
Well, despite the corruption that is there in distribution, I mean, I don't think any of us will argue with that. You are distributing, though, successfully.
We try to.
Perhaps not as far wide as you want, but...
Correct. Well, actually, I'm being distributed in the areas where I want to be. It's just the volume. So the wholesalers that I have one wholesaler probably has about 100 different brands. The other wholesaler has probably about 300 brands. At the end of the day, if you're a sales rep for a wholesaler, your whole focus is, I need to eat. I'm going to do what I have to do to make money so I can eat. Maybe take a vacation once a year, whatever. So you're not going to sell. Sales reps don't sell. They take orders. So they're going to take orders for whatever the customer wants. And they're not going to push anything because the customer is just going to tell them, this is what I want, don't tell me what I want. And that's pretty much true anyway. So, when you're going on and you've got your account list every day, you're expected to hit 15 to 20 accounts 5 days a week. You got to hit quota on certain brands. That's what you're doing. Gunpowder falls out of 300 brands, down at the bottom. There's no incentive for the rep to move us. So how does a small craft brewery break through? Well, I finally pieced it together after 30-some years because it's taken me this long because I can't think this way inherently. I'm not I'm going to do whatever it takes type of person. In other words, I want to stay between I hold the handrails and stay within the little box because the law says if I go outside, it's illegal. I'm going to get my hand slapped. The reality is bullshit.
Reality is often bullshit.
Yes. So there are certain craft breweries, even in this tight little region, that everybody talks about and sees on tap everywhere. Well, why are they on tap everywhere? Because in part of their investment funding that they raised, they took a sick amount of money and bought the tap lines. And I was so naive to think, well, that only happens at certain high-volume establishments. No. Every tap line out there is for sale. Yeah. Everyone. And I don't care where you're located, those tap lines are up for sale. So if you see a craft brewery that you never heard of before, but all of a sudden they are always on tap at certain locations for more than, let's say, 4 months, they bought those lines. So the going price, let's say if you're in Philadelphia, if you're in Baltimore or D.C., on the low end, a draft line costs $15,000. On the high end, it costs $50,000. So if you take $500,000, you're going to get about a density of 10 really great bars or restaurants, and all of a sudden, you're on there for half a year or so. You will succeed because now consumers see you at every single bar and restaurant in a half-mile radius. And then after a half a year, you don't have to play that game again because everybody knows you're there. But it is just astounding how illegal that is. And none of that will ever be put in writing. So you're taking a huge risk because we all know how trustworthy restaurateurs and bar owners are.
So you could just be throwing it away.
Well, what I haven't pieced together is the enforcement component. There has to be an enforcement component because there is no way you're going to pay some addicted bar owner $15,000 for the draft line without knowing you're going to be kept on tap for a specified amount of time. Mm-hmm. So there is an enforcement component that I haven't figured out. Short of getting Vinny and the boys.
That's exactly what I'm picturing in my mind right now, actually.
I'm the enforcer.
There is a more sophisticated way than that. And that is how corrupt the beer business is. But that is the only way. If you see some small brewery come out of nowhere and all of a sudden they're everywhere, that's what they did. Mm-hmm. Is it wrong? I don't care. I'd do it. If I had the $500,000 that I didn't mind putting at risk, hell yeah, I'd do it. That's capitalism.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
It's doing what you have to do to succeed. Mm-hmm. So I'm not judging anybody for doing it by any means. I'm just saying that's how competitive it is out there and how corrupt it is. And if you're not prepared to be that corrupt and that competitive, then you need to develop an alternative business model.
So just simply making good beer isn't going to keep anyone in business anymore?
Oh, never. It never did. I mean, look, come on. Even with the major breweries, their beer was not good. It was consistent.
Okay, I should say simply making quality beer is not enough.
There was a window of opportunity probably back in the late 80s, early 90s, when you had your Sierra Nevadas, your Fat Tires were just coming in. And that was a brief window of opportunity in the history of the American beer landscape where a quality beer was enough to get you to succeed. But now, because of the money involved and everybody thinks you're going to become an instant millionaire,
Yeah.
that's why they want to do it.
Yeah, really. Who are these people?
Wall Street bankers.
Yeah.
That's, that is, unfortunately, that's the name of the game. That's how you get out there. But it is what it is.
Well.
I think we need to take a break and have some beer.
Yeah, this is a pretty intense round of reality.
Stop talking
right
about the
there.
money and start talking about the beer.
Yeah. Let's see what came from this this German background with the beer. So let's.
Beer me! Beer me! Beer me! Beer me!
All right, so we have the Pilsner that we have been drinking the whole time, and I have to say I'm a fan of what has come out of it. It's little the glass is sweaty at this point, which kind of blocks the filtration that you were talking about earlier.
It is beautifully filtered.
It is, absolutely.
So this is a 5% Pilsner, and Martin, it says that it's brewed in the Bavarian Land Pils or Country Pilsner style.
Yes.
What is special about the Land Pils style?
The difference between, I would say, a Bavarian Land, meaning country-style Pilsner, versus a Northern German-style Pilsner, is that the Northern German-style Pilsner is going to be very crisp, very clean. It's going to be, I don't want to use the word sharp because that might give the listener the wrong impression, but it is a crisp, sharp bitterness, but not unpleasant, as opposed to the Bavarian country-style Pilsner, which has a softer taste to it on the tongue. You get more of a balance between the malty sweetness along with the hop bitterness. So the Germans have a term that they call edel, E-D-E-L, herblich edel. Which means it's finely balanced. It's a hard one to translate back into English, but it essentially means
Schadenfreude.
Yeah. But it is more of a softer Pilsner as opposed to a very clean, crisp, harsh Pilsner.
Right.
I think soft is the perfect adjective.
That is
for
a good word. Yeah, a good word for it.
And we talked about this a little bit towards the beginning of the show, but it is so drinkable.
It's
this is a beer
drinkable.
that you literally can just keep drinking and drinking and drinking and drinking. And this is, and I know I've probably told this story on air so many times, but I've been to Germany twice, and both times when I've come home, I can't drink craft beer. It turns me off, and this is what I miss, because yes, American craft beer, the beers are amazing, they're delicious, but it doesn't have this subtlety, this softness, the beers don't have, they're just not this, and I will never forget the first time I came to Gunpowder Falls, because I was like, it was just like that moment. No, it's so true, because there is nothing in the world like Bavarian beer, period. I mean, I know I'm a German girl, and I know, whatever, but, and to me, this beer, it's comforting.
Well, perfect word, comforting.
It's a comfort beer.
You want the beer to be part of the, we'll call it discussion. You don't want it to dominate the discussion.
Right.
So when you're out for an evening with friends, family, or whatever, you want it to complement what you are doing. You don't want it to overtake what you are doing. And if I've done my job right, you're going to drink all night long, because it is complementing what you are doing. Right. It's not overtaking what you are doing.
Right.
Yeah, I don't even want to sit here and analyze the beer. I want to drink it.
Yeah, it's just the kind of beer you just want to sit and drink and be like, this is a really well-made beer. It's really refreshing. It's easy to drink.
Bartender, have my next one ready.
By the way.
And Martin gave us the pints at the top of the show, and it took all my power.
So not just,
like, I have to save some for the tasting second. I have to save
the same thing.
Yeah, but it's just a really, and that's one thing that I like about, and I've never been to Germany, but I've had a few imported German beers and a few well-made German-style beers from American breweries, and that's exactly how you would describe it, and I don't think I ever would have pinpointed that on my own, is that it doesn't dominate. what you're doing. It complements it, like you said. It's not like I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, oh, I'm getting notes of leather and black cherry and all that, which is fun. When I mean, I like trying those kind of more intense beers and talking about that.
Sure.
But then it wouldn't be vegan if you had the notes of leather.
Well, notes of leather don't have to come from leather.
True.
Well, I have one regular. He's a UK expat. He's been here. Well, he and his wife or his family have been here for about 13 years now. And so his rule when he first came in was, until I ask you for the check, don't ever let my glass be empty.
Wow. Nice.
Love it.
Nice.
It's so well made. And, I tell people all the time about how much I love German beers. And I don't know, I just feel like if people came here and experienced it, I mean, it's great to get it off the shelf. It's great to have it in a bottle. But, just being here and, I mean, you feel the Bavarian pride here and, it's just...
And there's something about the freshness of it then also. Like you can tell people, yes, German beer. You can get German beer imported off the shelf some places. There's even, restaurants in Philly, Brauhaus Schmitz, they have such an impressive lineup of the imported beers. But to have it made here, you can get it as fresh as it can be.
Well, that is a very good point. Because I was at a beer bar, well known in central PA, town called Enola. You piece it together.
We'll get any more specific than that.
100+ taps.
Yeah.
And they had the Kloster Reutberg Helles on tap. And I'm like, holy fuck, hell yeah, hook me up. So I got my glass, and it was cloudy. And I'm thinking, no, this thing should be crystal freaking clear, pale gold. So I smelled it. And it smells like a lambic.
Oh.
And I tasted it.
Oh.
Yeah.
And the beer had gone off. It had been sitting in some wholesaler's warehouse. And of course, the beer bar, they're like, oh, it's from Germany. Sure, we'll sell it. Nobody's going to know any different. They didn't even know. They wouldn't know that it's, because they've never had Kloster Reutberg Helles before. Mm-hmm. So they wouldn't know. So I said, I think the beer's bad. Like, oh, really? It is? Well, it doesn't really taste the way I think it should. I'm not a beer expert, but I just played it off, like, hey, no worries. Like, oh, no, we'll get you another one. I didn't go into the detail, but so, even you go to, I'm sure, Brauhaus Schmidt, a lot of these German places trade on the German name, and they're serving substandard German beer when there are a few of us here in the United States that are producing German-style lager beer, and you can get it so fresh, it's just a world of difference, even over the quote-unquote imported authentic brewed in Germany.
Right. Well, I think that's one of the main reasons why we support Brauhaus Schmidt so much is because their manager and their, what should we call her, beer goddess?
Oh, yes.
She's from Germany, and she, Beata, I love her, she goes to Germany. She works with, they bring over some beers that you can't get anywhere else in the States, and that means a lot to them. So it's not just that bottle in the back of the fridge that's been sitting there for years, or that keg that's been sitting in a warehouse. Like, those of us that appreciate German beers, I think we purposely seek out the brewers or the restaurants or the bars that appreciate that style just as much.
And they know how to do it. They know how to uphold it then also to make it so you can actually show that this is a style worth showing and drinking.
Right.
Yeah, and everyone knows, like, a German Hefeweizen that's my jam. I mean, there is nothing in this world. So if I order one and I'm like you, as soon as I sniff it or look at it, I'm like, something's not right. I mean, we know what it should be, and we know the standards to which those brewers brew these beers. So, but to have it brewed here in the States, I mean, you don't have to worry about that trip over the ocean to get here. It's going to be as fresh as can be.
Wide.
Although it's a trip worth taking.
Yeah,
Wayne. Those of us, Wayne. Well, hey, I can go with you because I might as well have never been there. I went to Germany when I was 17 and I didn't like beer. That's my biggest regret. I haven't mentioned that on air in a while. That's my biggest regret.
Where did you go?
Well, we stayed in Rothenburg. We were in Munich also. I know.
I even got rich to drink an entire liter of beer in Munich.
I drank a beer.
The man that doesn't drink beer.
I drank a beer. I didn't like it, but I drank it because I knew I was supposed to. But now I want to go back and
try a beer garden, not a kindergarten.
Exactly. But I have to go back. And Wayne, we'll go together, and we will have and appreciate.
Hey.
Sure, you can come.
Field
Well,
trip.
we're supposed to be going next June.
Ooh. Oh,
we're,
nice.
We're organizing a trip here at the brewery to go to Erlangen at the beginning of June for Erlangener Bierwoche, which is the oldest beer festival in the world.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's really cool.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it does.
I will pack my dirndls.
Turtles.
Did you hear I made the S soft?
There's a plural there. Yeah. But I'm glad this beer turned out, the way it did. It's a style worth upholding and doing right, and I'm glad that you went in full force with it, and you're spreading the good word.
Trying to.
Yeah. Well, I feel like in this vein we should.
Before my glass is empty.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I feel like we should probably play a game of some sort.
Let's do that. Let's play a game. All right, so I wrote this before I heard Martin's impeccable German, so I apologize. But my intro begins thusly: Guten Abend,
Nice, yeah.
Internet, and willkommen to Happy Fun Time Games. That's all the German I'm trying.
Oh.
The only podcast trivia segment that never runs out of ideas. Germany is, of course, as we've been discussing, known for its long history of producing world-class beer steeped in tradition. It is also known as the home of a wide array of heavy metal bands.
Yes.
Such as
Rammstein.
and Rammstein.
Die Totenhosen.
There you go. There's another one. So I am not a metalhead, but if you are, chances are there's a few acts from Deutschland in your collection. So today we are playing Band or Beer Metal Edition.
Nice. Wait, now are these German bands?
So the way this game works is I'm going to give you a name and you have to guess whether that is the name of a beer or the name of a band. All of the bands are German heavy metal bands, and all of the beers are collaboration beers with heavy metal bands, but not necessarily German heavy metal bands. So heavy metal is just all over this.
This is going to be hard.
From thrash to sludge to glam to crust punk, metal comes in almost as many styles as beer.
Can we go back to anagrams?
Oh, I hate that game.
Steph hated it. Dan liked the anagrams game. All right, so we're going to begin. Steph's going to guess first on this one, and our first one is Schweitzer. Is it the name of a band or the name of a beer?
I'm going to say a beer.
Steph is saying that's a beer. Martin, what do you think?
I'm going to go with a band.
Martin is going to say it's a band. Dan?
I'm going to say beerned.
You can't say
That's cheating.
can't say beer. That's not an option.
I'm going to go band.
Dan is going to go band as well. Dan and Martin are correct. It is, in fact, a band. It's a German heavy metal band that formed in 1990. Produced 5 albums before they broke up in 2001. In 2006, lead singer Tommy Bach revived the band, although he was the only remaining
Did you see his face when he said that?
original member. The last update to their website was from 2008, and it ends with the phrase, "What the future holds for Schweitzer? Stay tuned." The world continues to hold its breath. Moving on to our next name of the game, and Martin's going to guess first on this one, and this is Black Tongue. Is that a metal band or is that a beer? Side note: giraffes have black tongues.
Quite long.
But see, I don't know that I don't know about the whole collaboration scene in Germany. So
Okay, well, the collaboration beers are actually, I will tell you, the collaboration beers are American beers
oh dear God,
in collaboration with heavy metal bands.
Oh, now you really throw
But
a
all the
curveball
names
in.
that are bands are German metal bands.
Well, shouldn't we keep it with German beers or German metal bands?
No, we're just keeping it with beer or German metal. Let's not make my job too complicated now. Come on.
Oh crap! Well, in that case, it could be a beer.
It could be. Is that what your guess is?
I think it's going to be.
Okay, Martin saying beer. Moving on to Dan. What do you think?
I was going to say beer as well.
Dan is agreeing with beer. Finally, Steph.
Beer.
Everybody saying beer. Everybody is correct. It is, in fact, a beer. It's a double black IPA by Signature Brew in Leighton, England.
I knew that.
So, an English beer, not a German beer. Brewed in collaboration with metal legends Mastodon.
Oh my God.
Their description of the beer is thus: rambling, smoky notes are offset by the elixir of misbehaving punchy hops. Citra and Magnum hops to the front, and Carafa Special 3 Malt and Pale on the baseline. This is our biggest and most powerful creation to date. The band wanted to create a palate crusher, and that's certainly what has been delivered. A beer for enjoying slowly, letting the bombardment of flavor and intensity hit your tongue and explode with every sip. Moving over to Dan for our next one, and the name of our next band or beer is Razor Hoof.
Razor hoof.
Razor
Oh my God.
Hoof.
Spell hoof.
Hoof.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to say band.
Use it in a sentence. Dan is saying band. Steph, what do you think? Razor hoof. Band or beer?
Beer. I don't know.
Saying beer. I don't know. Finally, Martin.
Why would you call your beer Razor? Band.
Why would you call your band Razor? Well, you would call your beer Razor because it is a beer, meaning Steph was the only one correct. It's from Two Floyd's Brewing in Indiana. Razor Hoof was a...
Really? Are you shitting me?
Yep. No, I am not. I mean, that's what I meant to say. It's a collaboration with the epic band High on Fire. It is a heavily hopped, high on fire. I don't know if that means like they were like fire's a drug and they're high on fire.
Or they were high and then were on fire.
They got set on fire.
Elevated and in flames. It's a heavily hopped saison worthy of Razor Hoof, which I think is the name of a High on Fire song. Not entirely certain, but the description continues with the following phrase: corpse wolf now raised.
What?
I have no idea what that means, and I don't want to.
It's not vegan.
It's most certainly not vegan. So for our next name, we spin back around to Steph's going to guess first on this one, and this one is Tankard. Is that a band or a beer?
Can you spell it?
Tankard.
All right.
Recycle. Recycle.
CONSCRVE. Conserve.
I'm just going to say beer again.
You made the rehearsal on Tuesday. Steph is saying beer. Moving on to Martin.
Yeah, I'm going to go beer, and I have to get a beer.
Okay, he's going to say beer and go grab a beer. Fair enough. And moving over finally to Dan.
I'm going to buck the trend and say band.
Dan is going to buck the trend and say band, and Dan is the only one who is correct.
Hey!
Wah,
Yes.
wah.
Tankard is a thrash metal band from Frankfurt am Main, Germany. Founded in 1982. They released their first
Good
record,
year.
in 1986, and continue to write and record in the same vein fast metal songs in honor of alcohol.
There is also a band, Tankard, that is Tankred.
Is it really?
Yes.
I did not know that, but now I do.
That's why I asked the spell.
Tankard's first gig was played in a local classroom in 1983. As drinking alcohol in the school was banned, they smuggled their beer in with milk cartons and probably made that sound.
Yep.
While they have built a sizable fan base, they all continue to have day jobs.
And I have a full beer.
And that's always a good thing. Full beer makes happy man. Moving over to Martin, who's going to guess first on our next one, and this one is Toxic Revolution. Is that a band or a beer?
That sounds like an amazing beer.
Sounds like an amazing beer. Okay, Dan, what do you think?
I'm going to say it sounds like an amazing band, because I wouldn't want my beer to have the word toxic
That's
in it.
exactly what I was thinking. What brewer in the right mind would put toxic?
That's what they want you to think.
Well,
I was just going to say beer for every answer.
That's what I'm good. That's where I'm at right now.
that's one strategy.
Okay, I think it's a band, but I'm going to say beer just because that was my goal going in. I was just going to say beer. So.
All right, Steph and Martin say beer. Dan says band. Dan is the only one who was wrong because it is in fact a beer. It's another metal collaboration from Three Floyds. This one...
You said Two Floyds earlier, by the way.
You
I
did.
didn't want to correct you.
Didn't
but,
I?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it was Three Floyds.
I think our listeners know what you meant.
Yeah, I typed
That
two
extra
in my notes
Floyd
for some
counts.
reason.
Which one's pink?
Oh, by the way, this one is a collaboration with Municipal Waste.
Oh, God.
A crossover
Hence
thrash band
toxic.
from Richmond, Virginia. Hi, Joe Man. The beer is an 8.5% stout that is their combined efforts to create a black liquid wall of death in your mouth.
Wow.
Enjoy.
Wow.
Enjoy. Moving on to our final name of the game, and Dan is going to get first on this one, and this last one is Moonblood. Band or beer?
I am going to say Moonblood is...
Begins with a B.
It's a band. I'm going to say it's a band.
Dan is saying it's a band.
Beer.
Steph is saying it's a beer without hesitation. And finally, Martin.
Well, I'm going to have to go in honor of Moon Zappa with a band.
In honor of Moon Zappa with a band. And you are correct. As is Dan, but not Steph.
I said beer for everyone.
You
so.
did. You did. Which
I
was
almost said band for everyone.
a decent strategy, but Moonblood is in fact a band. It was an epic black metal band from Schneeberg, Germany. Their style went from doom/death metal to death/black metal. I'm sure there's a subtle difference there, but I don't know what it is. They only released on vinyl and cassettes, apparently, but they disbanded in 1999 before it was cool. So a hipster metal band. Counting up the scores real quick. to see who our big winner is. We have a 2-way tie for first place. Not quite a sparkle party.
Not quite. Almost, but not quite.
Almost. Martin and Dan both have 4 points. Steph coming in just behind with 3. So your strategy of beer for every answer
got half.
got
Almost
you half
works.
correct because I split it up half and half. So
I like German sparkle party.
not quite.
I wanted to play
but
it
close.
anyway.
But close.
It's a German kind of day.
Yes. Go to patreon.com/beerbusters.
You know what to do. But on that note, I feel like it's Steph's turn.
No. Your beers. No, your beers.
Steph, what do we got?
Dan, let's talk about the Dunkel. The Bavarian Dunkel lager is the historical precursor of all modern lagers. Dunkel is the German word for dark, of course, referring to the deep brown mahogany color of this opaque lager. From the early 16th to the late 19th century, dark lagers were the most common beers in Bavaria. Initially called red beers, they came to be called Dunkels in the 1840s.
Hey.
Most likely to distinguish them from the variety of paler lagers that were being introduced at the time. Prior to the use of the indirect heat kiln in the early 19th century, which allowed maltsters to make pale malt, all beers were pretty much dark. Depending on the climate and season, beers were either ales or lagers, most of which becoming ales. Worts were inoculated with airborne top-fermenting yeast and underwent uncontrolled fermentation in unrefrigerated open vats. In fact, in 16th century Bavaria, yeast wasn't even considered a necessary ingredient of beer. It was regarded as a byproduct of putrefaction and discarded. Beers would be lagers only in the winter, while ale yeast would be dormant. The beers often tasted sour and medicinal, especially in the summer when there was a greater chance of infection. Brewers would use any number of strong herbs and seeds to cover up the bad flavors. Enter 1516 and the Bavarian Beer Purity Law, the Reinheitsgebot. As we know, after 1516, Bavarian beer could be made only from water, malted barley, and hops. Remember, the importance of yeast in beer making had not yet been discovered. Despite the Reinheitsgebot, summer beers were still poor quality, so in 1553, the Bavarian ruler forbade all brewing between April 23rd and September 29th. As a result, a new beer evolved. Initially called red beer, it was always a dark lager, barley-based and flavored with hops. It became the staple beer of Bavaria and was the world's first legally recognized beer style. The Dunkel, like all Bavarian-style beers, tends to be low in hop bitterness, brewed with a large portion of Munich malt. Dunkels are soft, elegant, and well-attenuated, with almost no nose. They have a rich, malty, mildly vanilla, nutty, sweet palate and a dry, rounded finish that is never harsh, toasty, or acrid. For more information on the ingredients of a Dunkel or how to brew a Dunkel or even some Dunkel recipes, check out Horst Dornbust's Dunkel style profile on BYO.com. If you're interested in a free issue of Brew Your Own magazine, click on the red banner on BeerBustersPodcast.com.
There's that word free again. That's a good word. It's my second favorite F word.
Yep.
Third for me. I like fudge as well.
Fudge is a good one.
Free fudge. Fucking free fudge.
Oh, man. Is that 1, 2, and 3 in order?
Yes.
All right, cool. Glad to...
No, it's not.
It's 1, 3, 2. 8, 6, 7, 5, 3, 0, 9. Let's move on.
Let's... Beer me!
Round 2, fight.
So in addition to that delicious Pilsner that we had, there is also a... I always said Dunkel, but is it Dunkel?
Well, that would be how some Germans say it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, because I've just always said Dunkel because that's how... I mean, I guess that's...
Well, it's the same thing as, for example, Americans say IKEA, but
we were just having that discussion.
Everyone else in the world says IKEA.
We were just talking about it at dinner earlier.
We stopped to get
Did you
dinner
bug our
before
car?
coming here. Wow.
I say IKEA.
Yeah, no.
I say IKEA.
So, but it could go either way, Dunkel or Dunkel.
Right.
Dunkel.
Well, it really is Dunkel.
Dunkel. I'm gonna go with that.
Because the U is a U.
Yeah.
O is an O. You know. I is an E. E
Right.
is an A.
Right. Is there an umlaut? Is there an umlaut over the U in Dunkel?
No.
Okay, Dunkel. I said Dunkel
Not at
again.
all.
Okay.
If you say Dunkel, they know what you mean.
If there was a
yeah.
umlaut over it, it would be Dinkel.
I have been lied to my entire life then for umlauts. But enough about grammar. Let's try the beer.
Umlauts.
Goddamn umlauts. But I love the pour of this. It's got a very beautiful color to it.
It's that gorgeous mahogany.
Oh wow, that is delicious. Oh, that is great.
Or,
It really is good.
as the American who lives in Germany says, Amazeballs.
Amazeballs.
Yes.
Amazeballs.
Amazeballs. So much like the Pilsner, this one clocks in at about 5%, right?
Plus or minus.
Plus
yes.
or minus, yeah, okay. But enough that it's not one of the overpowering ones you were saying earlier
correct.
you want to stay away from, which
Right.
is good, because this is another one that you could sit back and drink all night as it complements whatever you're doing.
As everyone here is doing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And as we were refilling our glasses, you mentioned the new menu that you guys have, which I feel that this Dunkel would pair perfectly with. Do you want to talk about the menu of sausages, as it were?
You mean how we're embracing our inner sausage fest?
Yes.
Yes. We've often been told that Gunpowder Falls is nothing more than a sausage fest. So we are embracing it.
Right. Why
and we now have a new menu.
Yes.
That, because I also have been oft commented by patrons that part of the attraction for them stopping in here is they see this wonderful big grill we have out in front of the brewery.
It was very impressive.
And so we said, you know what? Let's just put that grill to some good use, because we've always had it available for customers to use to bring their own food and cook out.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
We
cool.
thought that would be cool. You know, hey, who am I to tell you what you ought to eat here? But as it turns out, most people don't want to cook.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can see
I
that,
support
yeah.
that.
There used to be a restaurant out towards Reading that...
Tailgaters.
Yeah, Tailgaters. You would cook your own steak.
That's the last place I ever had a steak.
Really?
Wow.
Huh. Yeah, but I know you would go up and you would throw it on the grill for like 5 seconds each side and then eat it.
Still
Yeah.
bloody. Yep. Anyways,
So,
sorry.
yeah,
Yeah. So there's probably one of the best German butchers in the entire United States, not too far from here, down in Baltimore, called Binkert's. He is the meat purveyor for the German, Austrian, and Swiss embassies. So you know his meat's gotta be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, as they would say.
Yeah.
So I get my Frankfurters and Bratwurst and Bauernwurst from him, and we're having a sausage fest. So you can come in to Gunpowder Falls Brewing and get a Dirty Sanchez.
Can't pass that up. Pair that with the Dunkel.
Oh, actually, that would go real well, because a Dirty Sanchez is chili and nacho cheese mixed together.
And I love that you can add jalapenos.
And you can add jalapenos on it.
I support
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Lots of flavor love going off in your mouth there.
I regret eating earlier.
that. Flavor love going off in your mouth.
Oh, my God.
It's really a hard sell, man.
All right. If you want to go healthy,
Nah.
you can get Helen's Garden, which
Helen's
has
Garden.
shredded lettuce, sliced cucumbers, tomatoes, onions, sour cream, and a sprinkle of celery salt.
Oh, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty good. That one, I think, the Pilsner with
Yeah, I agree.
lighter. Yeah, a little, yeah.
What is the sloppy Cincinnati?
That's your good old chili dog.
To our listeners at home, please do not Google that.
Or do. Use an incognito window.
Yeah.
So those are some of the awesome food items that you can get at Gunpowder Falls Brewing's Sausage Fest.
Nice. And you can also, if I read correctly, do sort of your own custom.
Yes.
Where you pick the meat that you want, and then you just kind of throw on whatever toppings.
We call them tubes.
Tubes. You pick your tube. Choose your tube. But that's pretty awesome. That's a recent use that just started.
Yes.
Today.
Yes.
Nice.
Exactly.
Here for the kickoff, we heard smelled the charcoal wafting through the air earlier.
Now it smells like
Now
sausage.
it smells like
No, it
sausage.
does. Yeah.
Smells pretty good.
And we do serve popcorn.
Oh, fries and popcorn.
That's
All
the
right.
vegetarian option.
Those are your vegetarian.
Yes, exactly.
Because
You
the
can
fries
have
are
beer
fried
and
in peanut
popcorn.
oil, so they're
yeah,
vegetarian. Yeah, you're good.
So
Could you get the tube toppings on the fries or popcorn if you wanted?
absolutely.
There you go.
So do whatever you want.
And mind you, that popcorn is only the best a microwave can do.
And it says
It
that
says it on the
proudly
menu.
on the menu. That's
I love
awesome.
it.
That's awesome.
I love it.
Now, do you plan on? Now, I know, and I think we covered this earlier. At least it was in the notes that you specifically not looking to run a restaurant. Like you want to brew beer.
Exactly.
So you don't
Yes.
want this menu to keep expanding. Maybe
Well,
play around with some other things.
At the end of the day, not only am I a brewer, but I'm a businessman. And in order to remain being a brewer, I need to be a businessman. So, unfortunately, given that we are in Shrewsbury, which I think is actually a really nice place, to get people to swing in off the interstate, I need to give them a reason. Why are you going to come here? Well, one of the lures is for them to get something to eat. Maybe something to eat that they can't get anywhere else.
Right.
I mean, who can get a sloppy Cincinnati elsewhere?
I've never seen it on
Or
any
a
other
dirty
menu.
Sanchez.
I've seen it in the back of some
Stop.
gentlemen's special interest magazines.
Really?
Thank you for putting it nicely like that.
Unfortunately, as we were previously discussing at the beginning of the broadcast, that the distribution game of beer is just so intensely competitive, corrupt, or now let's rephrase that, American capitalistic.
Right. Yeah.
In order for us to survive and build a base, we need to give a draw. We need to bring people into here so that they can try our beer, learn about our beer, and understand why this beer is so good when otherwise they're never, ever going to hear about it. In our rapidly changing beer market, I'm recognizing I need to give people a reason.
You kind of have to, you do have to make like a destination of it.
Yes.
You know, a lot of brew pubs, breweries become brew pubs because, that is the draw. And but there's something cool. I like a good brew pub that's meant to be a brew pub from the beginning. When somebody starts, so I want to brew beer and I want to make food. Like Mad Chef is a perfect example.
Right.
Yeah,
we
for
have
sure.
people who are passionate about both things right off the bat. But you do kind of, I think that
There's
also,
something sexy about a distribution brewery, too, where you just walk in,
Exactly.
concrete floors, you
Yeah.
just want some samples and, walk around the brewery.
But I think the walk-in market skews towards something like this, like a cozy little, like you got the nice lighting, the nice warm atmosphere going. People want a little snack, something to eat. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're in Shrewsbury. So as for an industrial production brewery, it's an amazing setup. But we're, for getting people to come in here, we're not exactly in city center. So, okay, what is going to get somebody to come into here when you're not in city center, but we're an industrial production setup, but not yet at that scale?
Right.
I've got to give you a reason to come in. Thus, the recognition that we are going to have to venture into food in order to expand our market.
So was now the sort of legal process to start serving food? Did you have to get a different license? Did
Nope.
you have to get some sort of
I
certification?
already have the license to begin with because legally in Pennsylvania, to be a brewery pub or to have the brewery pub license, you must legally serve food. Or I shouldn't say you legally serve food, you must legally have available
food. Right.
food.
Right.
Oh.
Which means you can have food trucks, you can allow people to order in from other places. That
You just
means
have to
it's
make food.
legally
Or have a crock
available.
pot of
Now,
Yes.
is it? I
Yes.
thought that changed though recently, or
Yes,
no?
it did.
Okay.
They reduced it for extremely small breweries like us who
Okay.
don't meet a volume capacity threshold.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, really, you need something to nosh on.
Oh, you do. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Even I admit that what we were previously doing, which is, crock pot chili, mac and cheese, which was really good, and complements beer perfectly. Do you really need more? No, but most people think you do, so.
So who's the resident chef?
As he raises his hand.
Brewer and chef. Nice.
Grill extraordinaire.
Yes. Which actually brings
Sausage master.
me the sausage master.
I'm just stating facts.
Which brings
people.
me to another legitimate question I didn't think of earlier. How big of a staff do you have here? How many other people are involved?
I have as much as I need to get the work done.
Okay, that's all. Yeah,
That's
that's
a
perfect.
businessman answer.
Yeah, it is a
right
businessman
there.
answer.
You are a businessman.
And it's the right answer.
And then we have a full-time sales rep for Maryland. I'm looking to hire for 2, as well as a full-time brewery account rep for South Central PA.
And you're currently accepting applications for our listeners at home?
For qualified
For
individuals.
qualified individuals. So there you go. If you're looking to break into the beer business, take a look at Gunpowder Falls.
Exactly.
So how far does that distribution go? So you have the one in Maryland, you want another one. Does that mean you're looking to grow your Maryland distribution?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Well, our wholesaler in Maryland is Legends Limited, and their territory is all of Maryland and the district.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That's a huge
big,
amount
yeah.
of territory.
It's the whole thing.
Too much for one person. Yeah.
And then for South Central PA, our wholesaler is the awesome Kirkner Beverage in Lancaster. Andy Kirkner, Mark Kirkner, Matt Kirkner, and all the Kirkners running their wonderful operation. They have responsibility for Lancaster County, Lebanon County, York County, Adams County, Franklin County, and Fulton County. I would just like to maximize our footprint,
Of course.
in those areas.
Yeah.
And when we're talking distribution, it's the Dunkel and the Pilsner, correct?
Correct.
The seasonal beers
Yes.
are only available here.
Correct.
Have the Schwartz beer, people.
Well, I guess
Freaking awesome.
We haven't really mentioned anything other than
Use
the
the
these two beers. So what other, I guess, what seasonals do you have around here?
Well, I also have a lot of people who love the Märzen. So I bring that out for Oktoberfest because traditionally Märzen is the Oktoberfest beer.
Right.
Even though you can no longer get a Märzen at Oktoberfest in Munich.
Really?
Really, it's been that way since the 1920s.
I just kind of assumed that it was readily available. Wow.
You naive American.
I know, right?
I guess I just have to go and experience it for myself.
They did. I didn't know that either. I just didn't say it out loud.
Okay, well, thank you.
So the beer that you will receive at Oktoberfest is our Export Hell. Well, I mean, not our Export
Right.
Hell, but
Right.
the beer style served at Oktoberfest is Export Hell, not a Helles. There is a difference, Americans.
Okay.
Wow.
So enlighten.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's
we're
the
getting
difference?
schooled now.
The Helles is the absolute lightest of all the German lager beers. Lightest in body, lightest in hop bitterness. It is the basic, everyday beer of the common German. It's essentially like drinking tea. I will not say coffee because you wake up drinking coffee and then you switch to a Helles.
Yeah.
Wait, don't you wake up drinking a wheat beer and then change to Helles?
Only if you're pregnant.
Makes sense.
Okay.
He was ready with that.
That
too.
was great.
The Pilsner is the same as the Helles in both body, except the Pilsner has the most bitterness of all the German lager beers. So the Pilsner is essentially Germany's IPA.
Right.
Take that, hipsters. The Export Hell is the same type of body as the Dunkel, but it doesn't have the bitterness of the Pilsner. So, and the creation of the Export Hell came about because the Germans, with their discovery of refrigeration and then lagering, enabled them to transport or export their beer to distant markets. So for the beer not to spoil, they needed to have something with more body so it would have more alcohol than the Helles or the Pilsner. Therefore, Export Hell. It is a Helles brewed for exporting.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
that makes sense.
There we go.
So, and that is the beer you get at Oktoberfest.
Okay.
And I just brewed another batch. It's in the tank. It actually probably is my best seller.
Really?
So we're probably going to have to make some production tweaks because the demand for the Export Hell is pretty good. And then we do the Schwartz beer at Christmas time. We actually have the generally it's the Sunday after Thanksgiving. Sometimes it's the first Sunday in December. We have our Schwartz beer breakfast. I have also enormous demand. We just don't have the tank space right now to do it. I personally want to do it, but a bulk beer for wintertime, a Doppelbock, and a Maibock. So I'm trying to figure out, because to do a Bock beer and a Maibock, that's 3 months of lagering to do it properly. And for a Doppelbock, you're talking anywhere between 4 to 6 months of lagering. So to take one of my tanks out of production for that long.
half a year.
Yeah, exactly.
So Gunpowder Falls is open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday?
During the spring and summer months, come end of August, we're open Monday night as well.
And where can people reach you online?
www.gunpowderfallsbrewing.com.
I like the emphasis on falls.
And if you don't know how to spell any of those words, too bad.
Those are pretty standard words.
Exactly.
Look at the
So you-
title of this episode.
There's also that.
Well,
Look
there's a
down
lot
at
of
your
people
phone.
who think it's Gunpowder Fall. No, it's Falls.
No.
Just look at the logo.
Yeah. with
Yeah,
the
there's also
waterfall
that.
And,
Or if you're driving past, look at the banner and realize
Yeah.
that it is indeed a brewery that is sitting
Exit 4 off of I-83, just miles from Maryland,
Or
but in Pennsylvania.
go to Google Maps
Yeah.
and input. Even if you do Gunpowder Fall, it will take you
It'll
to this
correct
massive, huge state park,
Yeah, you don't want to go to the state park, though. Come to the brewery.
Yeah.
and which will give you the correct spelling.
Well, that's
there
good.
you go. There you go.
So you're on the right path to
This
finding
is a
out how to...
several step process.
This is all how you can find...
We should just link directions on the episode page. Click here to get to Gunpowder
Instead of
Falls.
normally the link will just go right to the brewery website. It'll just link to the coordinates on Google Maps.
Actually, a lot of people use their car GPS to come here, and it lands them in a cornfield about a mile behind us. You need
should
to
put a sign
use
there,
Google
almost-
Maps.
Almost, not quite.
So you have the website, gunpowderfalls.com. Do you have Gunpowder Falls Brewing?
Yes.
.com. Do you have like Facebook, Twitter, any other social media outlets?
Yes. We do the flesh book. We do the twat.
Wow. Well, I was not expecting this, I have to say.
Edit. We do the Facebook
Too late
and we
now.
do the Twitter.
That ship has sailed.
Oh, God.
Just look for Gunpowder Falls.
Yes.
Wherever you happen to be on the internet, and you'll probably
whatever
find
weird corner of the internet you may happen to be in.
it. Google Gunpowder Falls Dirty Sanchez
Sausage Fest.
Pennsylvania
Make sure
Sausage
you're in an
Fest.
incognito window.
No, let Google track that shit.
Cleveland Steamer.
So any links that you need will, of course, be on beerbusterspodcast.com. Don't forget to call and leave us a message. Yeah, we have a Google Voice
we
number.
have a phone number now.
We have a phone number. You can call, you can leave us a message, and just, I don't know, say hi, say something, I don't know. 805-991-BEER. It's 805-991-2337. It goes directly to a voicemail. If I set it up correctly, my phone won't ring. If it does ring and I drunkenly answer, I apologize. And that does not
Dan might answer the phone.
I've got the same deal, too.
There you go. There you go.
But yeah, 805-991-BEER.
805-991-BEER. Tell us what you put on your Cleveland Steamer.
Yes, indeed.
Or in it.
And whether or not they made it in the final episode, we don't know. So you may also want to check out the outtakes to know what Wayne's talking about.
Hello.
And let's not forget, this episode is brought to you by Audible, audibletrial.com/beerbuster. Sign up for your free 30-day trial of an Audible account. You can download and keep an audiobook of your choosing. There's over 250,000 titles to choose from. And let somebody else read it to you, because you have a busy life. You don't have time to sit down and process words yourself, so somebody else can read it for you.
But you do have time to go to patreon.com/beerbusters.
Better have time
and
to
you
go
can
to Patreon.
sign up to be a patron and help support the show and get cool behind-the-scenes perks, get to see things and hear things and do things before everybody else. And, our eternal gratitude, patreon.com.
And don't forget the Pottstown Brewfest on October 22nd. Thank you, Tim, for taking the time to talk
Tim,
to us.
thank you for that.
And we look forward to seeing all of you there.
Yeah, I think that sadly brings us to the end of another episode of Beer Busters.
Oh.
Are you shedding a tear over there? Martin, thanks for having us out here. This has been incredible. Your beers are solid. You're upholding a very good style, well, several good styles, and it goes to show. So thank you.
Thank you.
And
It was Amazeballs.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks.
There we go.
Thanks.
So again, of course, any links you need, beerbusterspodcast.com. You can find out all about Gunpowder Falls Brewing. And I'm Dan Baker, joined as always by my co-host and brewologist,
Steph Hefner.
and the demented and fermented
Wayne Baker.
Remember, no squids were harmed in the making of this particular episode, and we will see you next time.
Sorry, Paul. We ran out of time.